Well, we're up to basically the break, right? So I'm not going to do like a specific power rankings this week. On Saturday, when we're in Anaheim, I'll figure out something fun to do that's sort of related to it, something similar, but not power rankings, not exactly, because there just haven't been enough games since Saturday to justify doing a video all of its own. So what I'm doing instead is something that was kind of suggested in the comments, which was, hey, why don't you look at where teams were last year in relation to this year on the power rankings? And I thought, I could do one better than that. I've been doing power rankings for years. So I looked back over old power rankings videos, and just any video that's power rankings videos had power rankings in the title. Really easy for me to find it on the channel. And the first power rankings I did appear to have been from February of 2017, and I did 2, and then I didn't do any more. So it was weird, because that first one gets about 1,500 views, the second one gets like 500, and I guess I went, I don't need to do this every week. So yeah, things were different 3 years ago, right? It's strange to think back all that time, and everything that's changed since then. That was when I wasn't doing YouTube as my job. That's when it wasn't full time. So I decided, okay, well, I could use the 2017 ones, but no, because it won't fit on the board. This is madness. This is pre-madness. People who haven't seen a madness video, you're in for some... And I qualify it as madness when there's so many magnets on the board. I look like I'm scrawling on the wall in an alien dialect that I don't speak, and I'm mumbling to myself because I just came out of like some kind of a speed force. Yeah, flash is showing. But yeah, so there's going to be 93 on here, and I guarantee that they all fit because I made sure before I did this. That's why everything's written up here. So it's going to be 1 through 31 last year, this year, and the year before. And it's going to be the same power rankings you guys saw on Saturday. So no, they're not exactly the same as right now. I didn't see the point in doing a right now thing because we're still arguing about Saturday. So we'll just keep the arguing with Saturday. The next fresh power rankings will be not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. So we'll just keep that argument going for a couple of weeks. Sound good? All right. Number 31. All right. Now, the way that I've got this done is 2018, Buffalo was number 31. 2019, Detroit was number 31. This year, Detroit's number 31. Yeah, so that's 2 out of 3 Detroits are done already. Ouch. It's been a rough time, I guess. And yeah, so yeah, and I stacked them all in order because of course I did. Yeah, Detroit, number 31 last year and this year. Consistency. That's what we need, some consistency. All right. Now, number 30. Arizona was number 30 in 2018. Remember that miserable year? Buffalo and Arizona were awful. 2019, Anaheim. 2020, Los Angeles Kings. So, yeah, if you're Pacific Division, you have to be here. Atlantic Division here, Pacific Division here, that's the rule. Oh, my rule has finally been exposed. It's so obvious now that next year it'll have to be a different Pacific Division team that's 30th overall. And yeah, I can probably make a all-star break thing out of this. So yeah, Arizona, Anaheim, and LA. Rough times for the 3 of them. Arizona, of course, is back in the playoffs. That's an interesting thing, too. Buffalo not in the playoffs right now. Detroit, obviously not. Anaheim, no. LA, obviously not. Arizona is. Kinda. They're thinking about it. Number 29. That is an interesting way to look at this. Montreal, who currently are not in the playoffs. 2018, they were 29th. 2019, it was Arizona. And 2020, Ottawa. So the Ottawa Senators, the lowest they've been this year out of the last 3 years at the All-Star break. Because, yeah, I made sure that the power rankings matched up to the date. And, yeah, Montreal had a rough time in 2018. Aren't we glad we're through that now? This might be a power rankings video that may not make some fan bases very happy. Number 28, Ottawa in 2018. Ottawa in 2019. New Jersey in 2020. So New Jersey's the first team off the board, as in you're not going to see them again in this video. It's been a long 3 seasons for Ottawa, and they're looking to not see themselves this low next year at this time. I don't think they will be, but you never know. Things in the NHL tend to be kind of off. And that's New Jersey's first appearance so far on this countdown. Number 27. And again, I'm verifying with the book. Because I have a book right down here. I'm verifying that I've got these logos in the right order. Vancouver, 2018. Rough time for them. 2019, Chicago. Same. And 2020 right now, it's the Anaheim Ducks. So Anaheim's higher up right now on the power rankings than they were a year ago. That's something, right? That's some good news if you're an Anaheim fan. Right? It's getting better. Kind of. And it's not the highest Anaheim's been. It's the first time Vancouver and Chicago show up. Number 26. This is where it gets kind of tricky. Edmonton. They're currently a playoff team. 2019 last year, it was Florida. And yeah, this is the one logo that's different. I apologize. I couldn't find a third Florida of this make. And I'm like, fine, I'll just use that one. And right now it is San Jose. So that's the first time San Jose has shown up on the board. The Oilers, of course, some rough times in 2017, 2018, because that was after they'd gone to the playoffs in 2017, and the belief was, all right, they'll get right back there. They're going to be contenders, and then it didn't happen. To the point where now that they're in the playoffs, we're still kind of waiting on them to fall out. Kind of like, they'll fall out. Or will they? Number 18. Nope, number 25. Keep track of your numbers here, Shannon. Number 25, there's Detroit. 2018, they were 25th. 2019, spot number 25 was occupied by the Kings. And this year, it's Montreal. So that's the second time Montreal's on the board. Detroit is the next one completely off. Detroit, that's the last time we'll see them. And in 2018, they were at the spot of 25th on the power rankings. It's been a rough few years for Detroit, hasn't it? There hasn't been a whole lot of happy power rankings for Detroit videos. Thank you if you're a Detroit fan and you've stuck with this channel through basically the thin. There hasn't been any thick going on. Number 24. I'll get the numbers. I will. See, the problem is I got the numbers here and then the numbers here. And I did that because of spacing. Spacing, it wasn't going to work if I didn't do it that way. Number 24. And there's Florida again. So Florida, 26 in 2019, 24 in 2018. Philadelphia last year was at 24th, and Buffalo right now is in 24th. So Buffalo still higher than they were in 2018 by a good fair margin. Where they were, it was bad. This was an awful year for Buffalo. That it just didn't work. Another thing that I'll look at is after I'm done all this, I'll make another sort of a madness type video about where these teams all ended up and figure out if there's some kind of a pattern. Again, that same idea of here's some craziness, here's what the power rankings told us the last 2 years, what do they tell us this year? And then maybe I'll pull that one from 2017 too and see what kind of information I can glean out of that. Number 23. In 2018, it was Chicago. 2019, New Jersey. And 2020, the Nashville Predators. So yeah, New Jersey is on the board for a second time. Chicago's on the board for a second time, which means right now they are higher on the power rankings than they were last year or the year before. Nashville is the first time they've shown up, and really, in all honesty, 23 is really, really low for them. I think that they're treading way below any power rankings they had over the last 2 years. But yeah, 23 is really, really low. I don't know how else to put it. It just seems to be quite low for them. Number 22. If I mentioned it's low. Number 22, this is where Carolina shows up for the first time. 2019, St. Louis. And, of course, we know where St. Louis ended up. And right now it's the Rangers. So, ta-da, the New York Rangers are going to be your Stanley Cup champions. Doesn't really work that way, does it? But it's interesting because St. Louis, we talk a lot about how they were 31st overall and all of this. But I remember on the power rankings, they were moving up. And in January, they were starting to show some upswing at this point in time. And yeah, this is a team that was definitely moving up. They had been as low as, I think 29th was the lowest they got on the power rankings. I don't think they hit bottom. They may have. But yeah, at this point, at 22, they were definitely moving their way up. And by the time the playoffs rolled around, they were, I'm pretty sure they were in the top 5 at that stage. Number 21. And again, I'm just verifying. Columbus was 21 in 2018. Vancouver was 21 in 2019. And right now it's Winnipeg. So for Winnipeg, this is a tough haul. That being said, Columbus did make the playoffs in 2018. So it's possible, even being this low, you do end up making the playoffs because there's a lot of hockey left to be played. And for Vancouver, of course, that was still better than 2018 where they were 27th. So they were 6 spots better in 2019. And this year, they're much better than that, at least at this stage. This is why the cautiously optimistic comes in. Number 20. Islanders in 2018. Yep. The Islanders in 2018 were 20th, and that was before Tavares left. Dallas in 2019, where they couldn't score. 2020, it is the Minnesota Wild. So, yeah, this is an interesting one because Dallas did make the playoffs. They did go to round 2, and here they are on the board for the first time. This is the first time they make an appearance. It's the Islanders' first appearance. It's Minnesota's, it's their first appearance as well. They weren't this low last year. So we'll see if Minnesota can still turn things around or not. Number 19. I remember this. I remember Toronto being this low, and I remember getting a lot of flack for it. And then they went on a bit of a run to get into the playoffs. The Rangers at 19. And this year it is Philadelphia. So the Philadelphia Flyers right now at 19. Yeah, it still checks out. The Flyers, and here's the issue that I've had with the Flyers recently. I'll just throw this in here. They don't play very well against the good or the bad teams. They play very well against the good teams. So, the consistency is an issue, and playing down to opponents has been an issue for them. Right around middle of the pack is where I have them. So, and I remember the Rangers last year, they were in that middle of the pack. Are they going to make the playoffs? Are they not? Right now they're 22. Yeah, we haven't seen them for the third and final time yet. Number 18. And this is where it's interesting. Philadelphia was number 18 2 years ago. So Philadelphia is here, here, and here. 18, 19, and 24. 2019, Buffalo. So that's the farthest that they've been up the power rankings at this time of year. And there's Chicago at 18 as of Saturday. They've moved up since Saturday. They have. So Chicago, that's the highest that they've been. They were 27th in 2019. 2018, they were 23rd. Number 17. Don't worry, we're almost halfway through. Number 17, Anaheim was there in 2018. Carolina was there last year at this time. They were starting to push towards a playoff spot. I remember there were some people who said, they're not going to make the playoffs. Why do you have them up as high as you do? And the Islanders currently are 17. They're likely to make the playoffs, but they need to start winning some games with more regularity in order to make that a certainty. They are likely to make it. They should make it. Yeah, they'll make it. Yeah, okay, sure. So, yeah. And, of course, 2018. Anaheim, that's the highest they've been on any of the three. So there's your first half. Number 16. 2 years ago, it was the New York Rangers. So that's the highest that they've been as 16th. It was the Oilers last year, as they made a little bit of a push last year. And the Florida Panthers are number 16 as of Saturday. And they've moved up. So right now they're higher than 16th. I know Florida fans are going to say finally. Florida was 26th in 2019, 24 in 2018, and currently sit at 16. So best standing they've had on a power rankings at this time of year. Number 15. This is the highest they've been. In 2018, it was the Kings. Remember, the Kings went to the playoffs. I picked them to knock out Vegas in the first round. Yeah. I figured that their experience and the fact they've won Stanley Cups would matter, and it didn't at all. They couldn't score a goal. Colorado had that spot last year, and Dallas has that spot this year. So Colorado made the playoffs and went pretty far, considering where they were expected to go. The Kings got swept. Dallas, to be continued. But again, we're into all three teams did make the two of the teams made the playoffs. We don't know about 2020 yet. Dallas should. Notice I'm saying should. Number 14. This is the first appearance for Pittsburgh in 2018. 2019, it was Nashville. And right now it's Arizona. So pretty good company being kept by Arizona. That is easily the best they've been on a power rankings at this time of year. They were 30th the first year, 29th last year, and right now they're 14th. So that is easily the best they've been when we get to the All-Star break. And for Pittsburgh, of course, we know 2018 they lost in the second round against Washington. And for Nashville, they lost in the first round against Dallas in 2019. So 2020 has yet to right itself. But that's only the second appearance for Nashville. Like I said, that's the first appearance for Pittsburgh. Number 13. In 2018, it was San Jose. Last year, it was Minnesota that was up as high as 13th. And this year, it's Calgary. So the Flames have had their struggles this year compared to last year. Notice that this is the first time they've been on the board. So Calgary's usually a pretty good team at this time of year. We'll see whether or not this year is a big year for them, or if it's a complete and total disappointment. For instance, 2018 they were pretty high on the power rankings, and then it just didn't work out for them in the end. And I remember them going on a long winning streak. I want to say it was 10 games. I remember them going on a long winning streak and being hesitant about putting them too high up, and then they went pretty high, and then boy did they crash out. But there you go. Number 12. So 2 years ago, it's St. Louis. Last year, it's the Capitals. This year, it's Toronto. Ooh. St. Louis won the Cup in 2019. The Capitals won the Cup in 2018. Does this mean the Leafs win the Cup in 2021? And the 2020 Stanley Cup winner will be number 12 next year? No, but I want to give Leafs fans hope. I think that's important. You got to have some hope. So, yeah, the Leafs in pretty good company there. Right? And again, I know there's people who think I have the Leafs too high up. That's fine. Any of these power rankings you see here, there were arguments over all of them. It is a known thing on the channel. Look how madness that looks already. Madness. Anything more than 50 logos on a board, it's complete madness. So we're there already. Number 11. 2 years ago, it was New Jersey. New Jersey Devils versus everybody. Last year it was Boston. This year it's Vegas. So take your pick here. Boston goes to the Stanley Cup final last year. New Jersey ends up out in the first round. Vegas, I don't know what we have with Vegas right now. They might be a first-place team. They might miss the playoffs. Who knows? It is a challenge to predict that Pacific Division right now because they're all so close together. And everybody wants to point out, they got the California teams, so they're no good. It's just they have the California teams. Yeah, all right. So before the season started, everybody had San Jose crapping out of the playoffs, right? No? Well, then there you go. Yeah, so we'll see if Vegas can bounce back. But this is the first time we see Las Vegas on the board, which is why I picked a Vegas jersey for this. Because the first season that I did this regularly was when Vegas came into the league. Number 10. So 2 years ago, number 10 was Minnesota. Drink that in. They were top 10. Last year, it was Columbus. And this year, it is Carolina. So it's an odd spot. Expansion in 99-2000. Expansion in... 2000-2001 was their first year. And in the mid to late 90s, the Carolina Hurricanes come into existence. So this has to be populated by one of the more recently discovered or moved teams in the National Hockey League. So, yeah, Carolina at 10. Columbus, of course, won a round last year. And in 2018, it was another disappointing end to the season for the Minnesota Wild. That is, I believe, the highest Minnesota gets on this board. I believe. Yeah, it's the highest they get on this board. For Carolina... Yep, that's the highest Carolina gets as well. For Columbus, it's not. And we know that from what's gone on over the last week. Number 9. I had Dallas at 9 2 years ago. Montreal at 9 last year. Vancouver's at 9 currently. So that's the bad news. Vancouver and Montreal, there's a similarity there. Montreal went on a nice run at this time of year last year. And it looked like they should be able to get into the playoffs. And then it kind of fell apart. Then they come back at the end of the year. They just barely missed the playoffs. Let's hope that doesn't happen with Vancouver. And, of course, with Dallas, can't score. So 2018 didn't end particularly great for Dallas. They missed the playoffs. So 2 of those teams missed the playoffs. We'll see whether or not Vancouver gets in this year. And, again, that proves that the top 10 spot doesn't necessarily mean playoffs at the end of the year. Number 8, so many disillusioned people watching this video. Number 8, Colorado in 2018 was number 8. That's the highest they get on this board, I do believe. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure about that. No, it's not. No. 2019, it's Toronto. And this year, it is the Oilers. That's the highest the Oilers have been over the last 3 years. So for Toronto, is that the highest? That's the highest they've been on any of the three. Was 2019. This year, they're number 12. And that's where it gets tricky for Toronto. So they make all these changes, and yet it feels like they're regressing in the standings, and their overall position in the league seems to be kind of falling away from where it was last year. So are they playing possum? Are they going to do like a Nashville thing and just qualify and then go on a run? Number 7. 2 years ago, it was Winnipeg. So that's their highest spot. Last year, it was Pittsburgh. And, of course, we know Pittsburgh would look pretty good, get into the playoffs, and then nope. And this year, it is Colorado. So Colorado, 2 years ago, was number 8. This year, the number 7. And last year, they were number 15. So for Colorado, they're a playoff team. And it's kind of where they've been at. This is where it's kind of entertaining, because some of these teams really haven't moved that much from where they were a couple years ago. In Detroit's case, yeah. Number 6. This is the first time we're going to see Tampa. So I would have been justified in wearing a Tampa jersey for this one, but I went with Vegas. Last year, Vegas occupied this spot. And this year, it is Columbus. So that's an odd trio right there. Vegas, of course, last year lost in the first round. I know. It wasn't fair. 2 years ago, Tampa Bay, who went on a nice little run and then lost in the conference final. I know everybody focuses on last year and how they lost in round 1. It was a flameout. We forget that they haven't had a problem getting out of round 1 other than that. And here's Columbus, the team that knocked them out in round 1 last year, and they're sitting at number 6 overall. So pretty good standing for Columbus being with those teams. And we'll see where they go from here. Number 5. Here comes the Capitals. So the Capitals, who would win the Stanley Cup in 2018, were number 5. The Blues, who would win the Stanley Cup in 2019, number 22 at this time last year. Proving there's no real correlation here. The Islanders were number 5 last year at this time. And Boston. And there you go. Boston wins the Stanley Cup. It'll be Boston and the Rangers fighting it out in the conference finals to go to the Stanley Cup. Boston will win that. They win the Stanley Cup because Washington was number 5 2 years ago. Or the Rangers win it because St. Louis was number 22 a year ago. So if you're looking for jinxes, they're not there. The other thing that I like about this board is that I know there's people who say I'm tough on this team and I'm light on that team, and really these teams are really kind of all over the place. So I'm always happy when I look at the power rankings board. I've got the high and the low that I have on the current power rankings. And it shows that on that board, teams move up and down. There's a large swath of difference between where a team's highest point and lowest point is on the board, mostly. Number 4. Well, 2 years ago, it was Calgary. So Calgary, on that really hot streak that they had, were number 4. Winnipeg, last year, and this year, it's Tampa. So for Tampa, it's pretty good company as well, although Calgary, as I said, I'm pretty sure they fell headlong out. But they looked so good in January. It looked so good, didn't it? And then it just fell apart. So Tampa Bay right now is number 4. Winnipeg was there a year ago. We know how that turned out for them because they had to play St. Louis in the playoffs. This number 22 team down here. Number 3. Well, 2018 it was Nashville. Remember Nashville in 2018, there was a lot of talk about, well, they got to the Stanley Cup final, now they're ready to win one. It didn't happen, and now it looks like they're further away right now than they've ever been. 2019, San Jose was there last year, and this year, the Capitals. So, if you want to look at a team, look at a spot and go, well, that shows you who's going to fall apart. I guess this could be number 3. Maybe number 3 is the spot. Because Nashville the following year were 14, and now they're 23. San Jose was number 3 last year, and right now they're number 26. There you go, the Capitals. Why not? Sure. So the Capitals, I think that's the highest. Yeah, that's the highest they are out of power rankings over the last 3 years at this time of year. But 2 years ago, they were number 5. And I remember them, they kept falling and they kept ending up down and around this region. I kept saying, they're just not consistent enough. They're not consistent enough. And then in the playoffs, they found that consistency. And Holtby, who'd been terrible for parts of the year, suddenly he was a world beater. Might be part of the reason why we see Holtby stay there through the playoffs. Number 2. So 2 years ago, it was Boston. Last year, it was Tampa. And this year, it's St. Louis. So Boston, who in 2018 lost in the second round to Tampa. I had no faith they'd beat Tampa, and they didn't. Last year, it was Tampa who lost in the first round, swept, of course. And this year, it's St. Louis. So we'll see what they do in the playoffs and what we can expect from them. This is the greatest madness board. This is fantastic. I'm so happy because all I did was I put all 31 teams on here in order, and then I just fenced it off, and I thought, I hope this looks good in a video. Yeah, I like it. So, who was number 1 2 years ago? Number 1 2 years ago was the Vegas Golden Knights. Yep, they were number 1, and they went to the Stanley Cup Final. Last year, Calgary. They ended up winning their conference in the regular season and losing in the first round. And right now, number 1 is Pittsburgh. And we have no idea where Pittsburgh's going to end up. But right now, to me, they look like they're the best team in the league. And dealing with all the injuries they have and being able to continue winning, it's an intimidating thing. So there you go. The power rankings 2 years ago in the first column. Power rankings last year in the second column. And this year in the third column. At the All-Star break. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I love being able to look back at old videos like that and make this kind of a comparison. It is a lot of fun. So don't be surprised if I do this again during the off season a little bit, where we can have power rankings comparisons. Again, you guys let me know how well received these are by view counts, by upvotes, and by comments. So when I see people are watching it, it's popular and all that, I go, yep, I can do that again. And then when it's not, I go, okay, that was fun. Lesson learned. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys for all your support. It means a lot. I will talk to you again soon.